Hello, readers. My name is Mrs. Salisbury, and I'm a teacher at Bellevue Elementary. I'm so happy that I get to be here with you to practice the comprehension strategy of asking and answering questions before, during, and after we read. Today, we'll be reading a fictional text called Jamaica's Blue Marker, and we'll practice the strategy together. I'm going to share my screen now. Give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. The focus of our lesson is I can ask and answer questions to help me understand fiction stories when I read. We're going to practice asking and answer questions from our story, Jamaica's Blue Marker, during our lessons this week. Many times, your teacher will ask questions about a story, and it is your job to answer the questions. We will be doing some of that during our lessons, but we're also going to be practicing asking ourselves questions as we read. Readers are curious about the stories, so that's why we ask and answer questions, and it helps us to better understand. Before we start, I'd like to warm up our brains a little bit by reviewing the question words and different types of questions. First, we have green questions. Green questions start with the WH words: who, what, where, when, and which. When we ask and answer green questions, we go into the text and the answers are right there for us. This type of question is used a lot when readers identify the elements of a story, such as the characters, the setting, the problem, and the solution. You've been practicing those types of questions in your lessons. Red questions are not directly answered in the text. Readers must answer these questions by slowing down or stopping and thinking about what they read, but also using what they know in order to make connections. These questions usually start with why do you think, how, what if, what caused, or what was the effect of. We use red questions a lot when we think about the characters and their feelings and their actions. So we're going to get started with our fictional text today. The title is Jamaica's Blue Marker. The author is Juanita Hayville, and it's illustrated by Anne Sibley O'Brien. Our story today is realistic fiction, which means that the characters and events are like people and events in real life. And the purpose was to entertain. But I also think that the author had another purpose. As we read, we're going to find out about a very important lesson that our characters learned. And I think it can help teach us something. Okay, so readers ask questions before they start reading. And a lot of times they do that by looking at the cover. So we're going to practice that right now. As I look at the cover of Jamaica's Blue Marker, I'm wondering what Jamaica and Russell are like. What grade are they in? Are they friends? What are they working on? My next question is, do you think that Jamaica will share her marker? I'm not really sure, but I can look at the cover and I can tell that she's thinking about whether she's going to share the marker or not. Which leads us to our next question. Why do you think Russell doesn't have his own marker? I wonder if he lost it. Let's read and find out. Before we start reading, though, I'd like to review 2 vocabulary words. Peeked means when you took a little look at something very fast. You might say, I peeked behind the door to see if my friend was hiding there. Our second vocabulary word is stack. A stack is a pile of something that is neatly arranged. You might say, I put the dishes in a stack so that they wouldn't break. So let's get ready to read Jamaica's Blue Marker. And remember, our focus is on asking and answering questions in order to better understand the story. Today we'll read the beginning of the book. Let me get the text ready. I'm going to be doing the reading, but I'd like you to also follow along. As this is getting loading, I'd like to introduce the book a little bit more and let you know that Jamaica loves drawing pictures, but she doesn't like to share her markers, especially with Russell. He never seems to have his own set of coloring markers, and he sometimes makes unkind choices. Let's read to find out what happens when the teacher asks Jamaica to share her marker with Russell. Whoops, we forgot to do that page. Here we go. Jamaica closed her eyes and thought about her picture. Mrs. Worth always said to think first, then draw. Jamaica opened her eyes and drew a tree on her big sheet of paper. Then she drew leaves falling off the tree and colored them yellow. Jamaica, Mrs. Worth said, could you please share your markers with Russell? He doesn't have any. He never has anything he needs, Jamaica thought, but she said, okay, even though she didn't want to share her markers with him. Russell brought his paper to Jamaica's table. He sat down beside her and grabbed her blue marker. Jamaica picked up her brown and orange markers to finish her picture. She didn't pay any attention to Russell. After a while, she peeked at his paper. Russell was making squiggly circles all over his page. So right now as a reader, I'm asking myself, why would Russell be making squiggly circles all over his page? We're supposed to draw a fall picture, Russell, Jamaica said. Who says? Mrs. Worth, don't you ever listen? I don't have to. Russell reached out with the blue marker and made a streak across Jamaica's picture. So right now while I'm reading, I'm wondering, why does Russell think he doesn't have to listen? And why would he do something so unkind? Russell, stop, Jamaica shouted. But Russell scribbled all over Jamaica's yellow leaf tree. Mrs. Worth, Jamaica cried, Russell wrecked my picture. Mrs. Worth hurried over to their table. Russell, did you do this? She held up Jamaica's picture. Mrs. Worth couldn't get Russell to say I'm sorry. He had to go sit alone and work on spelling until art was over. Look what Russell did, Jamaica showed her father and brother when she got home. I tried, but I couldn't make another one as good as this. When she looked at the ugly blue squiggles, she had to swallow hard not to cry. Russell is a mean brat. Did you tell Mrs. Worth what happened? Her father asked. Jamaica nodded. Russell can't use my markers again. I shared with him because he didn't have any. He never has what he's supposed to have. But that's no reason to be mean. No, her father said. Russell shouldn't have messed up your picture. I'm going to show you the picture on the next screen, which shows Jamaica speaking to her father and her brother and showing that picture. That's the beginning of our story, and we're going to stop here so that we can continue with our learning objective of asking and answering questions. So here we go. Our first questions today will be green questions. Let's answer the WH questions about events in the beginning of the story. Question number 1. What were Russell and Jamaica supposed to draw? Now, if you had the book in front of you, you'd be able to go back into the text to look, but since you don't, let's think about it. Or you can pause the video here and go back and access the digital text. What were Russell and Jamaica supposed to draw? The text evidence tells us we're supposed to draw a fall picture, Russell, Jamaica said. So the answer to our question is Russell and Jamaica were supposed to draw a fall picture. Our next question is, Where were Russell and Jamaica working? The text tells us Russell brought his paper to Jamaica's table. So the answer to our question is Russell and Jamaica were working at Jamaica's table. Question number 3. Which color marker did Russell use? Oh, I remember this one. The text evidence tells us he sat down beside her and grabbed her blue marker. So the answer to the question used her blue marker. Who did Jamaica show her picture to at home? I'm stopping and thinking about the text and also the illustration. Do you remember who she showed the picture to? Jamaica showed her father and brother when she got home. I remember she was telling her father all about it. These are some red questions, and these are going to be your reading response. The red questions, remember, will make you have to think about the text and also think about things that you know about characters and feelings. You've been working a lot on that in your previous lessons. Let's go over the questions, and then you're going to be able to answer these on your own. You can type them right onto the graphic organizer, or you can print it out and write them, or maybe you just want to talk about these questions with someone in your home. Question 1. How does Jamaica feel after Russell scribbles on her drawing? And how do you know? Question number 2. Why do you think Russell scribbled on Jamaica's drawing? Now remember, this is a red question. There won't be the answer directly in the text, but I want you to think about why might Russell have done something that wasn't very kind? And question number 3. What if Russell had said that he was sorry when the teacher asked him to? I remember that the text did say that Mrs. Worth couldn't get Russell to say, I'm sorry. I wonder what would have happened if he had done that. Okay, so we have practiced our comprehension strategy today of asking and answering questions. And I'm really looking forward to having you practice on your own. Remember, you can access that on the calendar at RPS at home. I'll be back tomorrow, and we're going to finish reading our book, Jamaica's Blue Marker, to find out what happens. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you tomorrow.